Small business PAAS'S advice: how to choose the right service. Keep in mind that PAAS'S, Platform as a Service, has in the last decade revolutionized the way small and mid-sized businesses operate, sell products, and provide services. Make PAAS'S no longer the province of providers serving exclusively multinationals and large organizations. Check out our tips and tricks to learn best practices when it comes to choosing a PAAS'S provider for your small business. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic. If you're doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today I want to talk to you about small business PAAS'S advice, how to choose the right service. Now let's first understand quickly what PAAS'S is. Platform as a Service is just an area of cloud computing services. Now that area of cloud services provide companies with software services using the cloud vendor set of tools, right? And you have a complete development and deployment environment in the cloud. So the resources that enable your company to deliver everything from simple cloud-based apps to sophisticated cloud-enabled enterprise applications, that deployment, that environment comes from a provider. Now, when it comes to the provision of this sort of service, you have a lot of biggies in the industry. You have Microsoft Azure, you have AWS Panda, this is Lambda, sorry, that's Amazon. You have IBM being a big player also. Google is also there. So you want to make sure that you choose the right provider. Now, PAAS'S uses infrastructure, servers, storage, and networking, but also middleware. So you have development tools, business intelligence services, data management services, and more. Now, PAAS'S, interestingly, is designed to support the complete web application lifecycle. I'm talking about building, testing, deploying, managing, and updating. What's really important here is that as we await eagerly the advent of 5G, a lot of small businesses and mid-sized businesses, for that matter, are forced to make the transition. And they have to do the transition very fast. That's called cloud transformation. And we actually have another video about the cloud transformation when it comes to PAAS'S. You might want to double check that also. But yeah, so in a nutshell, that's what PAAS'S is. Platform as a Service is just a complete set of cloud computing services that help you, that provides to you software services using the cloud vendor's set of tools. Number 2, determine your business's requirements. Now, before you choose the right PAAS'S service, you need to know what your goals are, what your company's goals are. Do you want faster, less expensive projects? Do you want to develop faster, less expensive projects? Or do you want a reduction in application administrative needs? Because at the end of the day, transferring existing application to the cloud can result in a lot of challenges. So you need to think about whether or not you will need middleware for cloud integration. This is an important element here. Do you want your PAAS'S, for instance, to be linked to a particular software as a service environment, as a SaaS environment? Do you need a PAAS'S that is part of a particular cloud infrastructure, such as I said, Amazon or IBM or Google? Or do you need a PAAS'S that is not linked to any particular cloud, right? So you need to determine your business requirement. Of course, you can do so in tandem with your IT department, or by hiring an external consultant. Because the first is kind of cool. The first thing you want to do is determining your operational goals and how they relate to your IT requirements. Another thing you want to think about is what programming languages does your team use? Because the last thing you want is to adopt a new cloud service that doesn't fit or is not in sync with the programming language that your team currently uses. So that's number 2. Number 3, you want to determine what services and technologies the PAAS'S providers offers. So you want to know, for instance, how many stacks and stack combinations they offer. Because as your applications run, the stack will remain with them. Now, how many languages? Which ones? Those are questions. Those are key questions you need to ask. Another key question that you need to ask is, how is the deployment systems architected? Because you want to know the machinery that goes into effect when you deploy an application. Now, it is code itself, and you might use a software such as Popular Chef, but this exposes parameters and makes functions available through a graphic user interface, a GUI. Now, granted though, this is not the case across the whole industry, but you have a lot of large and prominent SaaS providers nowadays that use a particular programming language such as Java, Ruby, or Python. So you want to figure out which one they're using, because other providers allow clients to use any languages, while some are hybrid. So you also want to ask, what server-side technologies and data storage options do they offer? This is the kind of question that a lot of IT personnel will ask, especially in a data-intensive industry such as banking, such as consulting. So if you're a small consulting company or a small business involved in the legal field, a law firm, or you are in the consulting field or the banking field, you will need that. The server-side technologies and data storage options. You also want to ask, if you're a small business in general, what kind of support do the providers give for developer tools and integrating applications? How easily can you scale as your business grows? Right? Scaling is key, folks, because where your business is today is not the same spot your business will be in 5 years if everything goes right. So you want to have a provider that supports your business growth, that gives you tools that are scalable. And you also want to know whether or not the provider uses open source software, because this has implications for the operational side of things, in terms of vulnerability, in terms of transfer from one platform to another, etc., etc. Okay, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you're doing fantastic right now, and we're having a wonderful conversation around how to choose the right PAAS service. PAAS standing for Platform as a Service. And if you love this kind of content, please consider subscribing to our channel and turn on the notification bell so we can inform you whenever we release a new show. And we release shows every single day, rain or shine, not just on PAAS or IT topics, but over a wide variety of topics. Number 4, make sure the PAAS provider provides these operational advantages. I'm going to give you a few operational advantages that you want to make sure that the PAAS provider has for you in their package. Because by delivering infrastructure as a service, PAAS offers the same advantage as IaaS, but its additional features, I'm talking here about development tools, middleware, and other business tools, give you more advantages. But you need to know those. Now, the advantages are, we have five or six key advantages. Cut coding time. Because PAAS development tools can reduce the time it takes to code new apps with pre-coded application components built into the platform. I'm talking, for instance, workflow, directory services, security features, search, and so on. So your team doesn't have to recreate those components. Adding development capabilities without adding staff. So PAAS components will give your development team new and faster capabilities without you needing to add staff. Again, to hire new staff, to spend money, the staff that has the required skills, because everything is pre-configured. You can also, one of the advantages is also develop for multiple platforms, including mobile, more easily. So some service providers will give you development options for multiple platforms such as computers, mobile devices, tablets, phablets, you name it, and browsers, making cross-platform apps quicker and easier to develop. You can also go through use PAAS to use sophisticated tools affordably, right? If you have, for instance, a pay-as-you-go model, you are able to use sophisticated development software and business intelligence and analytics tools that you wouldn't be able to, afford to purchase outright. A PAAS'S service can also support geographically distributed development teams. So if you are a small or mid-sized business that is centralized, that has its headquarters in the United States, but operates over, say, 50 countries or 40 countries, you're able to take advantage of PAAS'S to boost your IT systems, because the development environment is accessed over the internet. Development teams can work together on projects even when team members are in remote locations. Isn't that wonderful? You can also use PAAS'S to efficiently manage the application lifecycle, right? So PAAS'S provides all the capabilities that you need to support the complete web application lifecycle. And this includes building, testing, deploying, managing, and updating within the same integrated environment. Next, you want to evaluate the PAAS'S graphical control panel or its command line. Now, you want to make sure that the service you choose, the PAAS'S service you choose, is easy to understand. The graphical control panel, the GCP, is easy to understand and use. It has to be user friendly. You want to check out the screens and controls. Are they logical and intuitive to use? Because you don't want, the last thing you want is your developers wasting their time just trying to figure out how to carry out a few simple tasks. That's waste of money, waste of energy. And yes, you want things to be simple yet flexible. You don't want to add to your team extra work, extra training just to operate the PAAS'S. Number 6, evaluate how rich the PAAS'S ecosystems is. So you want to understand that, based on your industry, based on your requirements, your business requirements, you want to know who are their software providers, their partners, and their developers. So for each PAAS'S provider, you want to know their software providers, their partners, and their developers. That's what's called the PAAS'S ecosystems, right? You want to know whether or not your team is familiar and comfortable with that ecosystem, and vice versa, whether they also in return are comfortable with you. Having environments in common will make integration faster, easier, and more in a more stable fashion. You also want to know whether the provider constantly develops new applications to improve their services, giving your business the most up-to-date software available, whether you're working on the state of the art, or or whether or not you have a version that dates 10 years ago. Those considerations have competitive implications, they have technological implications, and they also have operational implications. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. If you love this content so far, please comment below. Let us know the questions that you will love us to cover in the next show. Also, like this content, share, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our channel. Number 7, you want to see how common PAAS'S scenario apply to your business. Now, organizations, large and small, typically use PAAS'S for these scenarios. There are three main scenarios. Development framework. So PAAS'S provides a framework that developers can use. They can build upon it to develop or customize cloud-based applications, not only for mobile, but also for desktop devices. So similar to the way you create an Excel macro, for example, PAAS'S lets developers create applications using built-in software components. And cloud features such as scalability, high availability, and multi-tenant capability, the MTC, are included, which in essence reduce the amount of coding that developers must do. That's a huge savings in terms of time and resources. The second scenario that organizations use PAAS'S for is analytics or business intelligence. Now, and BI is going to be big. Business intelligence will be big in the next few years as 5G finally takes its spot in the global economy. So tools provided as a service with PAAS'S allows companies, small and large, to analyze and mine their data, finding insights and patterns and predicting outcomes to improve everything from forecasting to investment returns to product design decisions and other business decisions. Number 3, the third scenario is additional services. So PAAS providers may offer other services that enhance applications. I'm talking here about workflow, for instance, directory, security, and scheduling. Number 8, to choose the right service, and this is the last step, understand their security protocols. Now, we live in a world where the internet has asserted its preeminence, and the 5G is here, as I said, cloud is here. So security becomes, as we transfer everything on the cloud, online, you have security vulnerabilities, we have security concerns. So doubts about security have plagued cloud computing since its beginning. So many IT professionals, they can't get their mind around the idea of a business using computer power on the far side of a firewall. So, and there are so many hackers in the world right now, it's just an entire industry. And don't even get me started on the dark web. So PAAS is now common and accepted. However, that doesn't mean that anybody should take security for granted. So every PAAS should protect your business data and applications with the best security tools available. You want to ask that questions as you do the due diligence over the provider. What is, you want to know the company's, the provider's documented rate of uptime. Now, remember that when your PAAS goes down, so do your applications. In other words, your whole operations is coming to a halt, is grinding to a halt. So you want to ask around. You want to know the reputation, the provider's reputation for customer service. Because if your applications are down, if you have everything is down and you can't reach them, think about how much money you're losing and how much business you're losing, right? So as you can see, price is not one of the 5 tips. It's not just one. It's one of many. Okay, you choose the provider, the PAAS provider, not just based on price, but on other things. So security is one of them. Once you determine your enterprise needs, then find the PAAS that fulfills them. If 2 or more PAAS providers are otherwise equal, then by all means go with the least expensive. However, as with products and services that are not interchangeable, you will rarely find all other things being equal. Find like the 2 offers that are similar. That's really hard to find. All right, folks, this is really the end of today's conversation. I really hope that you enjoyed the clarity and quality of the content. And just kind of quickly recap what we talked about today. We talked about how to choose the right PAAS service, and I gave you 8 steps. Understand what PAAS is, determine your business's requirements, determine what services and technologies the PAAS providers offer, make sure the PAAS provider provides these operational advantages, evaluate the PAAS graphical control panel or its command line, evaluate how rich the PAAS ecosystem is, see how common PAAS scenarios apply to your business, and understand their security protocols. All right, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for your attention, and until the next time, remember, stay marvelous.